Everyone, it's John Heath here again for MiltonRose Learning with another Let's Learn video on the poem Shall Earth No More Inspire Thee by Emily Brontë. Okay, so all the way to the Yorkshire moors today, so we're going to look at some key context, stuff that you need to know from history to really help kind of unlock the poem. Then we'll have a little poetry reading. It's a lovely kind of piece, so we'll whiz through that for you, and then we'll round off like we normally do with some really good quality annotations, which can go then straight into your anthology. Okay, so without further ado, then, okay, Emily Brontë there, looking very pensive, and the beautiful Yorkshire moors where we're going to take you first, a place that I've been to quite a few times actually, and it's absolutely beautiful up there. Okay, so let's have a look then. You need to know first the Yorkshire moors and solitude, so let's talk about that. Now, the Yorkshire moors are a beautiful, beautiful kind of countryside spot in the UK. And Emily Brontë grew up in the isolated Haworth parsonage, okay, a kind of like religious kind of building kind of in the area. And Brontë formed a deep spiritual bond with the untamed Yorkshire moors, viewing nature as a powerful source of emotional healing and creative energy. She loved it up there, okay, and you can kind of see from the image, it is very beautiful, very peaceful, and just so kind of relaxing. And she had this almost kind of mythical bond with the Yorkshire moors, so you can see that landscape kind of imagery filtering into the poem, okay. Then the second one is we have an imaginary world that she kind of created of Gondal. Okay, so many of Emily's poems, I should say Bronte's poems, originated within the fantasy world of Gondal, co-created with her sister Anne Brontë, again another writer, exploring intense themes of exile, despair, longing, and the inner struggle of the romantic solitary figure. So this imaginary world of Gondal, the kind of imagery and the kind of vibe of it, filters into Bronte's poems, and it filters into this one as well. So you can probably want to research that kind of imaginary world of Gondal. Then we have Victorian melancholy and grief. Okay, melancholy obviously just meaning sadness. Now, the Victorian era was difficult, so they were living surrounded by illness, early bereavement, because people used to die quite easily and quickly in the Victorian era because medicine wasn't great and sanitation wasn't great either, and the harsh realities of Victorian mortality. So Brontë frequently engages then, because of that, with grief, using the poem as a reminder to resist despair, don't fall into that Victorian grief about mortality and dying early, and instead embrace life's fleeting earthly beauty. Okay, and nature can do that for us. Nature is beautiful, so it's an antidote to this Victorian melancholy. Okay, now with that context in mind, another beautiful picture of the Yorkshire moors there. You can tell I'm a fan. I do like hiking, and it's absolutely glorious up there. Now, first off then, let's have a little poetry reading then of Shall Earth No More Inspire Thee. Now, very quickly, the poem is basically Brontë who's chiding somebody, just, you know, a random person who's fell out of love with nature, and she's kind of saying, yeah, but it's beautiful, so, you know, you need to really get back into nature because it is so lovely, and yeah, you need to kind of come back to the fold. So we won't get it all in, so we'll just try and get those first four kind of quatrains in there firstly. Okay, let's have a read. Shall earth no more inspire thee, thou lonely dreamer now? So she's saying, you know, why isn't nature inspiring you, basically? Since passion may not fire thee, shall nature cease to bow? Thy mind is ever moving in regions dark to thee. Recall its useless roving, come back and dwell with me. She's saying, come back to nature, to this, you know, this silent person she's talking to. Come back and we'll enjoy it again. I know my mountain breezes enchant and soothe thee still. I know that you used to love it. I know my sunshine pleases despite thy wayward will. So the unknown person she's talking to has a wayward will. They're kind of like not enjoying nature. They've kind of left it behind. Let's look at the last four quatrains. When day with evening blending sinks from the summer sky, I've seen thy spirit bending in fond idolatry. I've saw you love nature before, you used to kind of bow down to it. I've watched thee, I've watched you every hour. I know my mighty sway, I know my magic power to drive thy griefs away. I know that nature can get rid of all your sadness. Few hearts to mortals given on earth so wildly pine, yet none would ask a heaven more like this earth than thine. Then let my winds caress thee. Let them kind of gently touch your cheek. A beautiful image there. Thy comrade let me be, since naught beside can bless thee. Return and dwell with me. Return and come and enjoy nature again. Okay, beautiful, kind of wonderful sentiment there. Okay, now with that in mind then, let's get some of the best annotations into your anthology. Okay, so just line that up nicely. I think that should be okay. Right, so the opening stanza then, and nature is personified. Shall earth no more inspire thee, thou lonely dreamer now? Since passion may not fire thee, shall nature cease to bow? So let's just think about that. So it's a rhetorical question, as we know, and there's a direct address, thee, which means basically you, inspire you. Nature itself challenges directly to the speaker, because she's almost speaking as nature, isn't she? And it challenges their brooding withdrawal and emotional numbness. Come back to nature because it's lush. Basically, that's what she's saying in a nutshell. Don't write that in your essay, so please. There is an epithet of lonely dreamer, so that captures some melancholic romantic figure who's trapped inside their own consuming inner thoughts. She's talking to someone who's lost their way, basically. They've lost their way with nature. Okay, and nature is personified. Cease to bow. Last time I checked, nature can't bow, so that is personification. And it frames the natural world not as passive, but as a devoted living companion demanding connection. Nature wants this person to return to them and to enjoy their beauty. Then we have inner turmoil and nature's restorative power. Thy mind is ever moving, in region dark to thee. I know my mountain breezes enchant and soothe thee still. So I know that my nature is still beautiful to you. Psychological metaphor then, regions dark. Okay, they fell into a dark place, this random person they're talking to. So it illustrates the dangerous obsessive depths of human melancholy in the Victorian era, as we did in context, and spiritual estrangement. The sensory and elemental or natural imagery of the mountain breezes and sunshine, that references the raw healing power of the Yorkshire moors as an active antidote to depression. Okay, the Yorkshire moors can solve all that because it's so beautiful up there. And the contrast of control, the wayward will, so that asserts that the healing force of the natural landscape is far stronger than human stubbornness or grief. Okay, that doesn't matter. Nature is more sublime and stronger. Then devotion and romantic pantheism. Pantheism is the belief that God is everything. So God is the air that you breathe. God is the grass that you walk on. God is the bread that you eat. You know, that's called pantheism. I've seen thy spirit bending in fond idolatry, yet none would ask a heaven more like this earth than thine. Let's break this down a little bit. Religious diction then, bending and idolatry means to kind of bow and to pray, almost like in religion. So it elevates the speaker's communion with nature to a sacred devotional act of worship. You've almost got to bow down to nature. Subversion of conventional heaven though, so it asserts that the speaker's true spiritual paradise exists on earth. It's actually the Yorkshire moors, isn't it? So it rejects the traditional Christian escapism in favour of that pantheistic belief. God is those Yorkshire moors in some ways, and every blade of grass that you walk on when you're up there. The assertive authority as well, mighty sway, magic power, phrases of that nature, emphasise nature's supreme sovereign ability to banish human suffering, okay, to kind of get rid of it and make things better again. And then as it moves to the closing stanza and the final invitation, let my winds caress thee, thy comrade let me be, since naught beside can bless thee, return and dwell with me. Beautifully written, I've got to say. So the tactile verb of caress, which means to kind of feel your face and to kind of like softly, almost like a mother kind of smoothing her hand over a kind of child. It offers physical tenderness and maternal romantic comfort, breaking through the thinker's cold isolation. It's there for the person. It wants them to return. A companion as well. It uses the word comrade, so it frames the relationship between human soul and the landscape as a mutual, enduring partnership of equals. They're almost friends, and they're fighting together. And the imperative refrain, a refrain is a repeated phrase or line in a poem that keeps coming up. Return and dwell with me. It ends on a warm, decisive plea for reconciliation and emotional grounding in the earthly world. Almost like God, nature has kind of not held it against this random person for leaving. It's saying, return to me and I will forgive you. Okay, beautiful kind of sentiment at the end of the poem. Okay, you can tell I'm a bit of a fan of that and the Yorkshire Moors. I do love that poem. So hopefully that's provided you with a really good jumping off point now for Brontë's poem. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe and tap the bell icon as always to never miss another Let's Learn video again. Hopefully you've enjoyed yourself. I know I have, and it just remains to say thanks for listening. Take care and we'll see you soon.